Many years ago, somebody said that I was an American composer. I had no idea what that meant because I think a lot of us don't like the idea of stylistic or geographical boundaries, or like being pigeonholed, like you're an uptown composer or a downtown composer, which was, I was growing up, there were those categories. And, but now that I'm old and wise, I'm beginning to see why I am described as American. Even though I grew up in South America, and there are a lot of Latin influences on my music, but they're subtle. There's also a lot of European influences on my music because of the piano. I played a lot of piano music of dead white European males. They're called dwems. Yeah, so being American, I sort of see now where that flavor is coming in my music. As a pianist and as a chamber music player and as a conductor, I've been involved with a lot of different types of music. And I think there are very specific pieces that hit me influentially, like Petrushka. So my piece, Petrushkates, is a definite direct link to that piece. That piece, not some other pieces of Stravinsky, but that piece. And Très Lent is a link to Messiaen's Quartet for the End of Time, which we played for 7 years, which had a huge influence on me. So the influences are specific pieces of specific composers. That is true. Although the more I admit that, the more enemies I gain. Because especially with string players, they love Mozart. I never tell string players that I'm not a big fan of Mozart. Mozart to me is way too perfect, and you're walking on eggshells with him. When I played the piano and I had to learn Mozart sonatas, I really hated it because it was a little too perfect and a little too precious for me. You know, I know he's a great composer, but I like the more earthy Haydn. Oh no, I agree with Stravinsky that mostly music is not about something. It's about music. I think when you associate things, it's because the title or the program note explains something, but I think those connections are actually very difficult to make if you're not making them verbally. You know what I mean? I think music has its own abstract kind of environment. If you put words to it, then it's a different ballgame. If you're singing, that's a different ballgame. But with no words, I think it's a very pure kind of form of art. Oh yeah, because a concert to me is a piece of music. It goes a certain way, and if you follow a very strong piece, you got your work cut out for you. You know, you can get killed by a very strong piece. So I don't like being following Beethoven or following Tchaikovsky. Either one of those. I don't mind being ahead of them, you know, like before they get played. I don't mind following Mozart or Bach, especially Bach. I think Bach is everything that I'm not. So yeah, I think the concert is like a piece of music. The Houston Symphony, with Tobias Picker as composer in residence, decided to have, I don't know, I think it was 25 composers, I'm not sure, write short fanfares to be on every subscription concert. And he asked me, and I said, fanfare, what is it? All I could think of was trumpets. And then the second thing I was thinking of was Copeland's Fanfare for the Uncommon Woman. For the Common Man. And so I thought, that's an odd title. Maybe I can turn that around. And so I turned it around to Uncommon Woman. And I thought that was kind of funny. And I talked to a friend of mine who she said, that's not funny. Actually, that's a good title. You should keep it. Okay. And so that became the beginning of 6 fanfares for the Uncommon Woman. And that was the first one. It was written for the Houston Symphony. And I decided to make it a tribute to Copeland because Copeland has been one of my influences also. Oh, I forgot to say that these 6 fanfares are dedicated to women who are adventurous and take risks and are uncommon women. So the first one is dedicated to Maren Alsop, who is our leading pioneer conductor, woman conductor, and so that's dedicated to her. His honesty, his complete no-nonsense kind of straightforward style. I mean, if you play one chord, you know, well, 2 chords, you know it's Copeland, right? I mean, he has a real voice, and it's an honest one. And I met him. He's the same way. He was a very elegant, honest man. I liked him a lot. Yes, no, it's fair. At that time, I was very involved with feminism and reading lots of books on feminism and waking up, so to speak, to the whole idea of what the role of women and women in music play. And I put on a lot of festivals with women in music, and I learned a whole lot about the history, my history as a musician, which was very encouraging and very important to me to know that history, because it wasn't like I was just fighting some lonely battle. It was like there's a whole history behind that continuity of thought and cultural problems. And so, yeah, it's definitely a feminist title. And it's been played at inaugurations of women and women who've had important things to offer, and I'm proud of that. Oh, God. How much time do we have? Well, I know that Stravinsky composed at the piano. And he was a pretty good pianist, actually. Yeah. And he had, I think, he had scores going like in a rotation around the walls or something like that so that he could see the whole piece. I don't do that, but I do compose at the piano. Because I'm a fairly good pianist, and I want it to come alive in time because it makes it more visceral and more real to me. So that's the way I compose, and I write it. It's sort of like writing a novel to me. I start with a character that has an identity, hopefully, of some memorable kind, and I try to make it more memorable as it goes on and deals with other characters that come into the room. And to me, it's very organic and very intuitive. I don't make a lot of maps. I can't think that way. I know that a lot of composers can do that very successfully, but I can't. I don't trust those thoughts, like ABA, and then we're going to transpose the B to that and the C to that. I can't think that way. I just, without all the clothing that goes with A, I can't do it. So I'm more of a novelist, actually.